Hey everyone, welcome to our Open Doors workshop, Start Your Business series in partnership with Microfinance Ireland. Today, our amazing speaker, Des McCarthy, will present. Just a moment, I will let people in. Okay, it's fine. So today, our amazing speaker, Des McCarthy, will present information about Microfinance Ireland, government support for early stage entrepreneurs. But first of all, I'd like to introduce myself and give a little bit of context before we start. For those of you who don't know me and Open Doors, my name is Lydia. I'm a program coordinator at Open Doors, mostly supporting migrants and refugees to access employment, education, and entrepreneurship. At Open Doors, we are also dedicated to supporting other underrepresented groups like people with disabilities, LGBTQIA+, travelers, and people with a criminal history. We do these by working with our supporting partners and members companies like Bank of America to deliver programs and events like this one today. We also have other initiatives like our mentorship program, pre-employment training, and others. So you can visit www.opendoorinitiative.ie to learn more or contact info@opendoorinitiative.ie. Before we start, I would like to remind everyone that this session is being recorded and we will share the recordings with those who registered. If you would like to ask a question at any point, you can use the raise hand function. If you would like not to have your question recorded, you just let me know and I can pause the recording. You can also ask a question in writing by using a Q&A function or chat box. Speaker can decide to answer your question as they come in or later after the presentation when we will have the time for questions. So without taking up any more of your time, I will hand it over to Des, Chief Executive in Microfinance Ireland. Des, you're welcome. I will share my screen of this presentation.
Thank you, Lydia, and good morning, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to present to you today. As Lydia said, my name is Des McCarthy, and I'm the CEO of Microfinance Ireland. And the purpose of the session today is to look at sources of finance for your business, and in particular to introduce Microfinance Ireland. And there are a number of ways to finance your business, including funds from savings or funds from family and friends, grant aid from the likes of the local enterprise offices and other state agencies, proceeds from competitions, winning competitions and awards, and loans from the main street banks, credit unions. Depending on the nature of your business, you may also be able to access equity from angel networks or seed funds. So there are lots of alternatives, but if none of these are suitable, or if they're not willing to support you, then Microfinance Ireland may be able to assist you in financing your business. So Lydia, could you move to the first slide, the next slide, please?
Next slide.
Yeah. Okay. So that's perfect. So who are we? No, sorry, the one before that. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
The one before this one. Yeah. Thank you. So who are we? Well, Microfinance Ireland is a government-supported lender to micro businesses that have difficulty accessing loans from the traditional bank network. And because of our government support, we're able to take a much higher level of risk than the banks are happy to take. And we generally fund startup or established businesses that are higher risk. And as I say, we're able to take that level of risk that the banks shouldn't be taking and can't take because we have government support. So we were set up to support small businesses by providing loans of up to €25,000 to pay for business expenses like buying stock or materials, fitting out premises, buying equipment, for cash flow purposes. It might be somebody buying a second-hand van, or maybe it's somebody who's looking to buy a cooker or a fridge for their restaurant or something like that. And we support those type of things. And we lend to startups and established businesses throughout Ireland. And we lend to all types of business structures, so sole traders or limited companies and partnerships. We don't lend to companies limited by guarantee, but those tend to be sort of charities and things like that, but we can't lend to them. I suppose one of our strategic goals is to provide more support to business owners in underrepresented groups, which we include as female entrepreneurs, migrants who want to start their businesses, youths, seniors, and people with disabilities. So in that context, it's very important for us to have relationships with people like the Open Doors initiatives who deal on a daily basis with those sort of groups. Could you move to the next slide then, please, Lydia? So who is eligible or who can apply for a Microfinance Ireland loan? Well, it's very specific in some ways, and it's very broad as well. So to apply for a loan with us, you must be a business, first of all. So we don't provide personal loans. We provide loans for businesses. And your business must have fewer than 10 full-time employees. And when we talk about employees, we mean the full-time equivalent. So if your business employs 4 people, of which 2 work the full day in the business and the other 2 work part-time, a half a day in the business each, well, then that would be the equivalent of 3 full-time employees. So you must be less than 10 full-time employees and your business must have sales of less than 2 million euros. And that's important because that's a European-wide definition of a micro business. And within the legislation that set up Microfinance Ireland, we're restricted to micro enterprises. So that's an important piece for us. And your business must also create or sustain at least one full-time job in the Republic of Ireland. And that job can be the employment of the business owner, or it can be that you employ somebody else, but there must be one job either created or sustained. So it could be that you're moving from current employment into self-employment, or you're moving from having no job at the moment to starting your own business. So maybe the next slide, please, Lydia. So I thought I might give you a bit of an idea as to the types of businesses that we lend to. And about 40% of our customers are pure startups. So we define a startup as being a business that's in existence for less than 18 months. However, many of our customers are people who are really just starting out on their journey from the very first day. 60% of the businesses are established longer than 18 months. And the businesses by their nature tend to be small. The average number of employees at the time of the loan application being less than 2. So they are very much a business owner setting up a business for themselves and moving into self-employment. We do have some customers who may have 8 or 9 full-time employees, but they're in the minority. The most, as I say, the average is about 1.7, so just less than 2 employees. And we lend to most business sectors, and our clients include all sorts of everyday businesses like hairdressers, nail salons, cafes, food trucks, bakeries, restaurants, creches, gyms, anything you can think of. Some people define what we do as lending to what you would see on the main street in any Irish town. We don't really do pubs, but we do cafes and bars cafes and restaurants and creches and all sorts. So they're everyday businesses that are part of the communities that they're in. There are some restrictions to the sectors that we lend to. So we don't lend, for example, to the production and trade of distilled alcohol. We don't lend to companies that are involved in gambling. We don't fund research and development. And there's a full list of the restrictions or excluded sectors on our website. However, most businesses are businesses that we can fund. So our customers are often first-time business owners. So they haven't necessarily owned a business themselves, but they often come to Microfinance Ireland if they've worked for somebody else in an industry or a sector and they want to set up their own business. They want to get the financial independence of being self-employed, but they do have experience in the sector, or maybe they have experience in other businesses, and they come to us then. Our customers often have only a small amount or no money to put into the business, or have they've invested all of their savings in the business, and they need us as their way to build the business and provide them with additional capital. But generally, we don't see people coming to us with a huge amount of equity. They often have a small amount or no equity to put into the business, and we're happy to look at businesses that need funding from that. And finally, I suppose we're a national organisation. Over 70% of our loans are to businesses outside of Dublin. So we're trying to build these businesses in the communities throughout Ireland and not be Dublin centric. So maybe if you could move to the next slide, please, Lydia. So we try to keep our loan packages very simple and structure them in a way that's best for the customer. So our loans are unsecured, so no security is required. And that's often one of the things that people find with the banks, that they will only lend if you have security. And lots of people don't have any security. As I've said, our maximum loan is 25,000 euros. The minimum is 2,000, but the maximum is 25,000. Our interest rates and the monthly repayments amount are fixed for the duration of the loan. And that means that you will have certainty as to the cost of your loan throughout the loan duration. And you can find out how much you will need to repay if you visit our website and use the loan calculator. But for example, the current interest rate, which is 6.5%, and if you wanted a loan of 10,000 euros and you're repaying that loan over 3 years, the monthly amount you would have to repay would be about 306 euros a month. So you can put that into your cash flow to see, in addition to your other expenses, how much your costs are going to be. Our loans are repaid over a period of either 3 to 5 years. So we can manage to structure a repayment between 3, 4, or 5 years. And an important part of what we do is that we provide mentoring for the business owner. If we deem it desirable to upskill in any of the business areas. So entrepreneurs by their nature, they may not have all of the skills necessary for building a business. They may be good at marketing, but they might not be good at finance, or they may be good at production, but they're not good at social media. And we would try to help the business owner by providing free mentoring to them in areas that they feel they need to upskill. And that's obviously something that's beneficial for the business owner, because they're upskilling in an area and getting more experience in an area that they don't have a lot of experience in. But also, if the business owner is increasing their skills, they're more likely to be able to keep the business going and make a success of the business, and they will repay our loans. So we give the free mentoring, and that mentoring is actually delivered by the local enterprise offices. And we work very closely with the local enterprise offices, both in terms of the mentoring, but also they provide a lot of referral business to us. The loan packages there are listed on the slides, and I'm sure Lydia will probably provide the slides later after the presentation. But the loan packages are largely the same. There are certain differences between some of them. So, for instance, for startups, which we define as business less than 18 months old, we offer a 3-month interest-only period at the beginning. So the loan repayments would be lower at the beginning while you establish your business. And then maybe for the expansion loan, that's got a repayment period of 5 years, because if you're expanding, you're probably investing in capital equipment, and that takes longer to get a payback. And we also have a small loan, which is a loan of up to 5,000 euros, and that's a loan which it has a shorter process and a lower amount or lesser amount of documentation that's needed. So maybe I'm moving on to the next slide. Yeah, how to apply. That's great. Yeah. So the application process is fairly straightforward. Though I suppose it's easy for me because I'm familiar with it. It may not be easy for other people who aren't as familiar with it. So firstly, you will need to register on our website. So www.microfinanceIreland.ie. And you'll see the Get Started button, and you'll be able to register on the website. And then once you've registered, we will send you by email an application pack. And within that application pack, there'll be an application form and there'll be templates for cash flows and things like that. And you need to complete the application form, which includes within it a business plan. And the business plan doesn't need to be very long. It really just needs to cover what the purpose of the business is and for you to tell us about your business idea and why you think it'll be successful. So we're not looking for pages and pages. We're just looking for the bare minimum as to why you believe that this is a good idea and it'll succeed. And we'll need a 12-month cash flow forecast. And this, you know, is something that some people find hard to do, but it is simply a list of what you expect your sales and your income will be, and taking account of when you expect to receive that income. So if you're a bakery and you're selling direct to customers, and you're selling coffees or cakes to your customers for cash or card, your sales and the timing of the receipt of those sales will be the same. However, if you're maybe producing cakes for a supermarket, you may sell them to the supermarket on day one, but you may not get your the receipts or the income from those sales and be paid by the supermarket until day 30. So you need just to build that into your cash flow forecasts when you're looking at it. And then so that's on the sales and the income side. And then the other side of the cash flow is the costs, and what those costs will be and when you'll need to pay them. And I suppose you're breaking that into a monthly income and expenditure account. And it's a good idea, and it'll give you a very good idea of what your cash requirements will be, because sales don't always equal cash, and likewise, you may get credit from some of your suppliers as well. And we'll need 6 months bank statements for both the business, and that's assuming that it is an established business and isn't just a startup, and personal accounts as well. And we will need a credit rating report from the credit rating agency. And then once the application form has been submitted and the documentation has been submitted as well with it, you send it first of all to applications@microfinance.ie, and when we've received all of the applications, it'll be sent to one of our loan assessors, who will make contact with you and talk to you about your loan application and try to better understand your business and give you the opportunity to tell us about your business idea and why you believe it'll be successful. And then once you've had that conversation, we'll revert to you with a credit decision within 10 working days. So for me, one of the key things is maybe to give the key tip would be to visit your local enterprise office. I would encourage anybody who's looking to start a business to contact the local enterprise office and just have the contact there. Obviously, the local enterprise office will help you in developing your application. You don't have to go to them to help if you don't need the help, but they are there to assist if you do want their help. But also they provide mentoring, and they will provide start your own business courses, and it is possible that maybe you can get a grant as well from the local enterprise office. So it's really important that you make contact with them to see what services and facilities are available to you for your business. So maybe we can move on to the next slide then, please, Lydia. So how do we assess a proposal? So first of all, this is the last slide. You know, we look here at how we evaluate an application. And for us, I suppose one of the key evaluation points is the experience of the applicant. And we look at, you know, the applicant's experience in similar businesses, or what other experience they have, whether they've run another business or whether they've only been they've worked in this sector and they understand the sector, because that's really important for us, because in most cases it's the experience of the promoter that makes the business success. So the promoter is a really important part, and that's why we speak to all of our applicants. We're one of the few organisations that do it, but it's very important for us that we speak directly to you. We used to, before COVID, we used to meet face to face. Now we either do it by a video call or a phone call, just to understand your experience, to give you the opportunity to elaborate on what you have in your application, and to, I suppose, show your passion for the business and to show your passion to make it a success. So clearly, we also evaluate the business idea, and we focus particularly on what is being sold and trying to understand why people will buy the product or a service over a competitor product. And as a part of this, we will also evaluate the cash flows as well to ensure that the income and the expenditure and the timing of those is realistic. We look at what the loan is being used for and the loan amount requested, and try to understand whether that's a realistic need, and whether there's a need for more or less funding to get the business going. We will examine the bank statements and the credit report, and though a bad credit report is not necessarily a declining factor. So we understand that not everybody has a perfect credit record, and as a government supported lender, we're prepared to accept that bad credit history is something that is possible. And rather than us declining solely on that basis, we look to understand how the credit issue happened, and also, more importantly, how the borrower dealt with it. And so long as they were honourable and honest, we generally would be looking favourably on the credit. And I suppose finally we need to examine the repayment capacity of the business. So how is the business going to generate its ability to repay the loan? And it's important that we do not over-indebt a borrower, and we feel that the business has a reasonable chance of success. I mean, clearly we take a lot of risk, and we're happy taking a high level of risk, but we still need to believe that there is a certain level of viability within the business, and there's a certain ability to repay it. Okay, and then that's the final slide. There is a slide of success stories. I did have a video that I was planning to include within the slides, but unfortunately, when I tried to send Lydia the email with the video, it was too big, so I had to take the video out. But these are the links to all of our success stories, and you'll be able to see the various people who are in those success stories, and they have a very different. They all have very different businesses and business ideas. And it'll give you a feel for the type of businesses and the type of people that we support. So I'd encourage you to go there to our site and look at those videos. So that's the end of my presentation. Thanks for your attention. I hope you found it interesting and informative. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. A lot of useful information. Thank you, thank you. So I will check now chat. If you have a question, you can write your question in the chat box. If you would like to ask, you can raise a hand, and I will let you speak. Please, okay, there is some question. No question. It was very clear. Thank you. Thank you. So that gives people a couple of minutes. Thank you very much for the presentation. I would like to mention one more time that I will share the slides with everyone who registered today in the session. So you'll get all of the materials, so don't worry about that.
And there may not be questions now, but if there are questions after this, people can always go onto our website, and there's a help or a queries at microfinanceIreland.ie, and we're absolutely happy to take questions from anybody there.
So there is a question, so I see. Just one question from Tatiana about sole trader. How do I need to be employed in my own SE? How do I need to be employed? Tatiana, what do you mean? So maybe Tatiana means that if she's sole trader, what the minimum period when she can apply?
If she's a sole trader, she can apply immediately. She's a sole trader,
so
absolutely.
there is no any minimum period to do the yeah. So
there's no minimum, no minimum period. If the business is a brand new startup, we're quite happy to do an evaluation of that. You don't need to be in business for any length of time.
Okay, thank you. There is a question from Polina. Are you ready to work with refugees in Ukraine? I suppose that Polina means, are you ready to work with refugees from Ukraine?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Great presentation. Kirill is asking, do you need to have Irish resident permit card? Is it necessary? Or there is a registered company, can you apply for a loan? So, the question is that not all Ukrainians has an Irish resident permit. They have only temporary protection letter. Is it enough?
That's a very difficult question. Is when does the temporary temporary protection end? I suppose that's the question.
So the official government said that temporary protection will end the 4th of March 2025.
Okay. And will there be an ability to stay in Ireland and run the business post that period?
No one's know.
Okay.
There's any details about that.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it would be difficult for us to lend to somebody who can only, if on a 3-year loan, if they were only going to be able to run the business for a year, they wouldn't have they may have repayment capacity, and if they can show repayment capacity within that year period, possibly. But if they would have to be, if they were required to leave the country within the year, it would be difficult for them to get a 3-year loan.
Okay, are they eligible to take a loan for 6 months, for example?
Yeah, we could look at that. We could look at that.
Okay, thank you.
But the business would need to show that it will be able to repay the loan in that period.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Lalo, I will share the slides with you as well. It was one of the requirements. Very clear and conscious. Training in Leo is decisive for starting a business. Am I right? Yana Grechka is asking, training in local enterprise office is decisive for starting a business. Am I right?
If that means, is it required? It isn't required. It's not required, but it's useful, but it isn't required. So not everybody has to go through a start your own business course. No.
Okay, so Tatiana explained that there was a requirements for starting a business that she needs to have at least one employer person.
Yes.
So she needs to help.
But she can be that person.
Okay, so she can do sole trader.
Yes.
And to be this person and to apply
the business
for,
owner. She will be the business. Yeah, she will be the business owner.
Okay, thank you. If there are plans to start a new business, is it possible to get financing? If yes, what documents should be submitted? Only a business plan?
No, there will be the application form. There will be the business plan, and the business plan is in the application form. So you need to fill out the application form, and you need to provide the cash flow statements, and you need to provide the bank statements to the extent that you have them, and you need to have supply the credit record to the extent that it's there.
Okay. Annette Murphy is asking, I'm a sole trader, but working voluntary at present. Can she apply for a loan? She's a sole trader, but now she's working as voluntary.
If she's a sole trader and it's a business, so if it's a business, yes, so long as it's not a personal loan. If it's a business loan and for business purposes, yes.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot of questions. There's a question from Obi. In what aspects can you finance the opening of a new creche? In what aspects can you finance the opening of a new creche?
Well, I think if it's there's no specific requirements other than filling out the application form and all of the other documentation. Presumably there will be requirements. There's legal requirements around what you need to do in a creche, but we would assume that if you're opening a creche that you will know those and you will comply with those requirements, whatever they are. I don't know, but for us, starting the creche is enough. And you would need to, obviously, we'd need to believe that you're going to be able to get the custom and that people will send their children to the creche. But other than that, there's no, it's like any other business.
And I would say that the first point of contact should be the local enterprise office for the assisting in this question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's no downsides to going to the local enterprise office. And, sometimes the local enterprise offices are very, very busy, and it's difficult to get an appointment with them. And, if that is the case and you're under pressure or you need, the timing doesn't work, you can always come to us directly.
Okay, there's a question from Kalechi. Do you support dropshipping business or franchises?
Yes, so long as they are certainly franchises. Dropshipping, I'm not familiar with the concept as much as I should be, to be honest. But so long as it's employing somebody, yes, and it's a full-time job.
Okay. Should the business be online or physical location? Is it important? Is there any limitation with this?
Well, there needs to be one job needs to be created in the Republic of Ireland. So yes, it can be online because lots of businesses are online. So there's lots of people who are doing coaching businesses or that sort of thing, or providing digital services online. So the online element is not an issue, but it must be done in Ireland, and it must create one role in Ireland or sustain one job in Ireland.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Rihanna. I'm an asylum seeker from India. Can I start a business in Ireland, and can I get a loan for that?
Well, I can't answer the first part of that. I'm not qualified to answer the first part of that, which is, can you start a business in Ireland? I suppose where we come in is when the business is started or when the business has been set up and the person is looking for the loan. There's nothing to stop the person looking for the loan once they've set up the business. But I'm not familiar enough with the legalities of how an asylum seeker sets up a business.
Okay, thank you. There is a question from Annette. I'm an Irish citizen, born in Dublin actually, but live in County Clare, near Shannon Airport, struggling to get paying customers for the last 8 months. Can we advise something?
Struggling to get paying customers. Well, that is yeah, I suppose that's again, that it's not in my area of expertise, but I suspect that, you know, what I could say, I assume Annette is probably out there marketing her product, is on social media. Maybe she needs to look at the nature of the product. Is there more research you can do to see whether she can get more customers? Or why are people not prepared to pay for the product? Is it because it's too expensive? Is it for a lack of demand? Those sort of things I think you need to look at. But I'm not a business expert in that way. I'm not a business advisor. But maybe the local enterprise office is a good maybe it is a good case to go to the local enterprise office and speak to them about how Annette may get some paying customers.
Okay, I will ask one more question from Kalechi. If starting a business in a regulatory sector, for example, childcare, do you require additional documentation for this, permission from the regulatory body, and so on?
Yeah, look, I think I think we cannot finance somebody that isn't in compliance with the regulation to the extent that it is a regulatory business. So to the extent that there is a regulatory requirement or there are permissions that are necessary, we would require that the business has those permissions in place before the loan is drawn.
Okay, the question from from Paulina. It is possible to get legal advice from you in a business that may require confirmation of diplomas in medicine, massage, psychology, and so on. Where to get better advice in this area? For example, where to get an legal advice about a business, about confirmation diplomas or recognition of qualification, because sometimes people have the qualification, but they need to recognize it in Ireland. Where to get this information or advice? How do you think?
Okay. Well, I'm sure Open Doors Initiative probably can help in some ways. I think it's probably a combination. I think that the local enterprise office is probably one piece of it, because they would know how to start the business and what's needed to start the business. And I think in terms of how to get your certifications and your qualifications certified and accredited here, you probably need to go to the governing body in Ireland to understand that, to understand how you get accredited. There may be the Department of Social Protection, through what in Trio or the other offices, the Department of Social Protection, they may well be able to help too.
Okay. How do you think that? Sorry, there's a lot of questions. How do you think? Can you suggest any short courses related to starting your business, as you mentioned in your presentation, except local enterprise office? What opportunities are there? about for beginners when they start their own business?
Well, I think it's the local enterprise office is probably the first stop that I would go to, because it's probably best value. I think there is a payment for it, but it's a relatively small payment. Whereas if you're looking to do entrepreneurship courses, so there is a course. There are a number of courses which Open Doors Initiative would be aware of that the Technical University of Dublin run on entrepreneurship for people with disabilities and entrepreneurship for migrants. So I would look at the Technical University of Dublin website, and there may well be other universities that are doing similar initiatives.
Okay, I will let the people know that the Open Doors will lead the course for beginners, entrepreneurs, beginners. After a month or a couple of months, we will start the new course for entrepreneurs. So
yeah,
I will let you know when we'll begin to hire people for that. Just a moment, I'll check the questions, okay? So I see that Annette shared her story about her entrepreneur's journey. It's not paid; it's like voluntary. I suppose she has she struggled to get a customers, so she needs some advice in this area. So it's better to go to whom with these questions.
Definitely the local enterprise office. And there is
the local enterprise office to get. So Annette, please, there is a great advice to contact with your local enterprise office and to get an advice about how to develop a business, how to manage it, and a lot of different types of advice will be there.
They may be able to provide a mentor to Annette, who will, and that mentor will be able to help her to develop her business idea, and to move it from being voluntary to being paid by customers.
Okay, so the best way is to contact with local enterprise office.
Yes, I think that's a good that's a good first start for all entrepreneurs, people who are starting businesses, beginners. I think that's very good, because they will also be able to tell you whether there may be grants available for your business as well. So I'd certainly recommend that people do visit them.
Okay, thank you. If there is any other question, we have a time. You can write a question until Des with us. I will check. Dear people, dear attendees, if you would like to ask a question, you can write in the chat box and the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand to ask. Okay. Okay. Annette explaining that local enterprise office since 2015 in Ennis or Shannon. Thanks, Des and Lydia. Great advice. Many thanks, Annette Marie.
Good. I'm glad we helped. Yeah.
I hope that it will be useful. Thank you. Well, that's very informative and helpful session. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Des. Thank you. Give the people a couple of minutes. Maybe there will be some questions. Thank you, Polina. Thank you, Des.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm more than happy to work with you on these things.
Be said. Thank you, Des. Just let you know that we had 37 people during the session.
Oh, very good. That's great. And you have the presentation which you can provide to people who weren't able to make it for whatever reason, and people who were able to make it. Good stuff.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Okay. Yeah, there will be all contacts in this presentation, so you can use Microfinance Ireland website, and there will be some contacts if you need some direct support.
Yeah.
So I can see, I suppose that's all. There is no any question. Just one more minute. There is no any question. No, I can. In any case, if you will get a question, just you can write me a letter and I can direct it to Des and so on.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Des. Thank you very much, everyone, all attendees. Thank you very much for this meeting. It was a great event. It was a great workshop. Thank you for all your information. So
and thank
you. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay. Cheers.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye.